I let go of my past. Oh, I let go of my past. Eckhart Tolle is going to help us speak today. I didn't expect to do this. It wasn't part of my notes. I just picked this book up, and this stood out to me. And I'm going to ask you to maybe, if you need to close your eyes, but maybe not, just focus in on the words. See what you feel and what it does to your being to hear these words. Built into every structure of the egoic self is a need to oppose, to resist, and exclude in order to maintain a sense of separateness on which its continued survival depends. So there is me against the other, us against them. The ego needs conflict with something or someone. This is when it starts to get heavy, okay? And I just want you to know as we go into this. That explains why you are looking for peace and love and joy, but cannot tolerate them for very long. You say you want happiness, but you're actually addicted to your unhappiness. Excuse me? False prophet. Let's come up with some kind of a name. No. Let me read that back again. That explains why you're looking for peace and love and joy, but you cannot tolerate it for very long. And that's because the ego needs conflict. Somebody say the ego needs conflict. The ego needs to feel separate. It needs to feel like it's its own island to itself, that it has its own ideas, that it's just me doing this and I need somebody to be against. It's one of the reasons that we find it as a struggle in our human experience, at least in the one I've had for 47 years, that it's much easier to get people to collect around a common enemy than it is for people to collect around love, joy, peace, and inclusivity. And that's because we have that ego. You say you want happiness, but you're addicted to your unhappiness. Your unhappiness ultimately arises not from the circumstances of your life, but from the condition of your mind. Ouch. Do you carry feelings of guilt about something you did or failed to do in the past? And this is what I wanted to lead up to, letting go of the past. Do you carry feelings of guilt about something you did or failed to do in your past? This much is certain. You acted according to your level of consciousness at the time, or rather unconsciousness. If you had been more aware, more conscious, you would have acted differently. Maya Angelou said it as simple as this: when you know better, you... Guilt is another attempt by the ego to create an identity, a sense of self. To the ego, it doesn't matter whether that self is positive or negative. What you did or failed to do was a manifestation of unconsciousness, human unconsciousness. The ego, however, personalizes it and says, I did that. And so you carry a mental image of yourself as bad. Throughout history, humans have inflicted countless violent, cruel, and hurtful acts on each other and continue to do so. And are they all to be condemned? Are they all guilty? Or are those acts simply expressions of unconsciousness and evolutionary stage that we are now growing out of? Jesus' words, forgive them, for they know not. Now, here. That doesn't just apply to them. That applies to you. Jesus' prayer, 7 sayings on the cross, Jesus' prayer, he said so many things. I'm sure it was not all recorded, but those 7 sayings of Jesus, the one that stands out to me the most is Father, and that was his understanding of God. And it was actually kind of political too. I don't know if I've mentioned to you before that when Jesus would refer to God as Father, it was really flying in the face of Caesar, because Caesar during that time wanted everyone to call him Father. Everyone, all of his subjects, and by the way, everyone were subjects. So when Jesus says, Father, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, he's giving the authority to God, and Caesar was an atheist, didn't want that power to go to God. He wanted to be the Father of everyone. Does that remind you of any figures? Okay. So during this season, when I'm saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, I'm not just saying it for people that I think are being mean or evil or doing despicable things. I am going within with this, and I am saying to the 15-year-old John, I forgive you, for you didn't know what you were doing. I'm saying to the alcoholic me, to the drug addict me, to the divorced me, to the one who lost their job me, to the one who stole something, to the one who did some jail time, to the one that is still in there plaguing me, I forgive you. You didn't know what you were doing. You acted out of a place of unconsciousness. And by the way, you survived it. You're here. And it's from this place of recognition that I'm able to absolve all of these perceived failures from my past. This is what I think it means by letting go of the past. The thing is, I was going to title this message, that's a load of crap. You all know I'm the irreverent reverend, but I was going to title this message, Leslie. I know that's punctuationable there. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, that's a load of crap. And I'll tell you why I was going to do that, because we all drag around our past behind us, and it's just sacks of manure. Now, I know we think there's some really cool stuff stored up in there, but let's be truthful. There's a lot of junk that we're dragging behind us, and it's this dead weight. And what does that have to do with abundance and prosperity? Well, if you're dragging around all this crap behind you, your hands are too busy dragging yesterday's death to be open to the abundance that's trying to come your way. Now, it gets worse. We're not just dragging sacks of crap around. Every once in a while, we stop, we reach in there, and we smear it all over us with the stories we tell about our past. And then we wonder why our life stinks. And that's what we perpetually do. There's this it's the stories, and we've gotten so good at it that we could do a whole play by ourselves. No music, no other actors, just you and your monologue. It would be like Castaway, only no Wilson. Just you sharing your story, and not just picking at the scars, but opening the wounds. See, the thing is it's not really the events themselves that carry the most weight. It's our narrative, our story around the event that we keep smearing on ourselves that carry the most weight. So, St. Paul, it's called saint because the church said he was a saint. Paul says this, brothers and sisters, and he was speaking to the brothers and sisters of the particular church that he was writing to at the time. He said, I've just got through telling you some really rough stuff. He'd just gotten through preaching a harsh message. And he follows it up with, brothers and sisters, I do not count myself to have apprehended or to have perfected this in myself. In other words, what I just said to you is something I'm working on too. He said, but one thing I do. Somebody say one thing. He said, one thing I do. Somebody say one thing. The one thing I do is forget the things that are behind so that I can reach forward to those things which are ahead. Then he said, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ. And he said, I forget the things that are behind me and I press forward toward the goal. And here's the goal. What's the goal? What's the prize? The upward call. Out of the mud comes forth the lotus. Out of the bag of stuff comes forth the plant of your life. It is the upward call of God in Christ consciousness. So Paul says, I'm not saying I've perfected putting away my past, but I'm telling you I'm practicing. I'm making it a discipline. I'm deciding that every time those voices from my past pop into my head, that I'm letting them go and I'm releasing it so that I can make myself free. In Buddhism, my brothers and sisters of the Buddhist faith, they call this anatta. And anatta is the teaching of letting go. And it's in part of the teachings of anatta that they also use the word nirvana. Nirvana is not just a rock band from the 90s. My son Gavin's his favorite band. It's not just a rock band from the 90s. It's also not just Buddhist heaven. The word nirvana in Sanskrit means to blow out or to exhale. Somebody say exhale. See, some of us need to exhale the hell from our life so that we can inhale the heaven that's been available to us the whole time. We were just holding our breath. So in the Buddhist tradition, the anatta is to give yourself and others a break. Okay. That's not necessarily their translation. That's the John Scott translation. Give yourself a break. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, give yourself a break. See, the thing is many of us are waiting for a break, meeting the right person, somebody coming along and telling us that we're okay. Somebody that does the right thing, makes us feel right, and then we'll be all right. The truth is that when you wait for others to do that, then you owe them a debt. You need to declare that over your own life. Give yourself a break, and then you'll be giving others a break. Please, for God's sake, some of you, give yourself a break, because we could use a break from you. I was mostly kidding. But dear Lord, I apologize. No, really give yourself a break. And please understand this. Anatta, a part of the teaching of anatta, is that your life never becomes complete. Oh my. Oh boy, we don't want to hear that, do we? We're like, come on, can't there be a finish? There's no finish line to life. You're the existence of life itself. There's no measurement for life, not a true measurement. It doesn't stop. It didn't start at the conception of your body and within the womb of your mother, and it won't stop when you take your final breath on this side. You are life happening in this envelope called your human body. Life doesn't start in our birth date and end at our death date, because death is actually an illusion. It's not real. You are life that's always happening. So give yourself a break. You're still in process. By the way, in 1,000,000 years from now, something will arise that says, give yourself a break. You're still in process. This is why it's important to let go of our past instead of congesting ourselves with it, because you're going to be around a long time. You're an eternal being, having a human expression and experience. Now, I know that blows our mind. Good, because the mind needs to be blown. It's been in your way long enough. So this is my choice. I can be stifled by it and continue to suffer. Or I can let it go and surrender, and then the flow will arise within me and carry me wherever it will. Now, and I know that doesn't feel like security for most of us, because we think that hard lines bring security. They actually don't. They just bring incarceration. Those sure walls that you've built, they're your prison walls. So I'll ask you to declare this with me. I choose not to look back in anger or regret. nor in front of me in worry and fear. Instead, I choose to look around me in full awareness. In other words, I'm not going to regret or be angry about my past. I'm not going to be anxious about the future. I choose instead to look around me in full awareness with what's happening right now. Touch somebody real quick and tell them life is happening right now, right here, right now. And every time I do that, introverts go. I think I've realized, Elaine, that I think I'm an extroverted introvert. A wee little bit. Because I know when I get y'all to talk to each other, it's like, for some, and I get it. I get it. But look at somebody. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so now here's where, this is where I would like to challenge us a little bit. Somebody say challenge us. I'm going to ask us to make a practice, during this season at least, of letting go of our personal history. Whoa. I know. You're so used to him or her. You're so used to the story. But there was a guy named Carlos Castaneda, and he said, give up your personal history. And he followed it with this. I finally realized I no longer needed a personal history. And just like drinking, I gave it up. My personal history. It's hard to offend someone who doesn't have a personal history, because you have nothing to attach the offense to. I mean, it doesn't matter what the insult is, it can't touch you because there's nothing solid to touch. I mean, can you imagine in every situation being so bathed in the truth of who you are that anybody who tries to insult you is shadow boxing in the dark, never landing a punch because there's nothing solid to hit? I mean, imagine it rolling off of you like water off of a... See? Y'all are getting good. Imagine being able to move through life. You're impervious to what it's trying to bring your way because you're like water. If you shoot it, you can't wound it. The bullet just moves through until it finds something what? So live in your 75%. Live your spiritual and mental life 75-25. 75% fluid, 25 solid. Instead of the converse, because many of us are living the converse and we wonder why we continue to break. Blessed are the flexible, for they are not easily broken. Water knows how to flow. That's all it knows to do. And you can't stab it or punch it. You can unsettle it on the top, but you cannot destroy it, even if you displace it. Think about this. If you're 75% water, it means you can be solid, you can be gas, and some are full of it. You can be solid, you can be gas, and be fluid. And you have the ability to pour into any container and take the shape of the container without a single bit of suffering. But not if I keep my personal history. I know letting it go is so odd, right? Give up that personal history. Now, here's a plus. Chad, I sat with this plus. The nice thing about giving up your personal history is that if you don't have a story, you don't have a story to live up to. This is why I love Reverend Aileen and how she would respond during what people would deem to be stressful moments. You know what she would be doing right now while we're in this transition? You know what she'd be saying a lot? We'd say, hey, Reverend Aileen, how are you? And she would respond with what? I am. Because I know the power of what comes behind I am, and sometimes you just want to settle in the I amness. The I amness is not the I wasness or I will be-ness. It is I amness. This is this present moment. This is why I can let go of the past and not worry about the future, because there's no such thing really as either one. And all of the things that went on in my past, I survived, and I'm here. Pat yourself on the chest and say, you already survived that. You already survived that. Somebody said to me, well, what about the power of the past? I want to make a declaration here that I will disclaim. I'm saying to you the same thing that Paul said to the church in Ephesus, so that he wrote that earlier verse to. When he said, I have not apprehended this. In other words, I haven't perfected this yet. So I'm telling you ahead of time, I have not perfected this yet, but I'll tell you, I firmly believe within the knowing of my being that the power the past has is only the power I give to it. It has no other power over me except the power I give to it. And how I identify with what I was. And y'all, sometimes I want to locate the 25-year-old me or the 16-year-old me. We're about to be moving some stuff, y'all, some heavy stuff. And I want to find the 16-year-old. Not because he liked to work, because he didn't, but because he could all day long and the next day not be crippled. Y'all, listen, I'm 47. I'm not 16 anymore, you know? And that dude's nowhere to be found. I'm trying to find, see, you have inhabited multiple bodies while you've been here. And the only thing that remains is you. Now think about it for a moment. You've inhabited multiple bodies while you've been here, and the only thing that remains is you. And who is the you that we're talking about? The essential you, the one who animates this thing. The truth of you. The expanding you, the unfolding you, and enlightenment is as simple as watching the trees grow during this season. All of those trees during the winter season look like they're dead. And all of a sudden, the sun will come out. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom. Sorry, it just happens to me sometimes. All of a sudden, life will start to bud, and there'll be a little bud. You know, you ever watch the trees out front that I used to watch? There'll be a little bud, and then a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden, looks like it's turning green, and maybe it's a little something sticking through it. And a couple of weeks later, maybe just a few days, then you'll start to see a flower pushing through, and the flower will push through, and it'll just expand open, and it's just gorgeous and beautiful. And then all of a sudden, you go out there, and there's fruit. Well, where did the bud go? Where did the petals go? Oh my God. The whole point the whole time was for the fruit to come forward. But that's how the evolution of our self and soul works. All of the things that you're not anymore will fall away as the fruit arrives. And this is why I can let go of my past. Because it doesn't mean anything. Now, you don't have to. For somebody who's saying, yeah, but there's someone in my past or a situation that I really enjoyed and I liked, hold to that. That's fine, hold to that. I'm not saying that you have to kill it all. I'm just saying whatever part of you from the past is holding you back, you can let that time and that person go. So the only power that the past has is the power I give to it. And it's crucial for me to understand that my past is only good as a teacher. It's terrible as a master. I want to learn the lessons and the blessings, but I'm not going to let that past master me. Here's the treatment. I'll share this with you in closing. I'm able to let go of the past through, number one, radical self-forgiveness. And I know you've heard about this before. You may have been to a conference about this before. You maybe went and laid on the floor and yelled to high heaven to forgive yourself, but we're still working on this. We're still working on this radical self-forgiveness. I love this quote by Lewis B. Smedes, and it says this: to forgive is to set a prisoner free and then discover that that prisoner was me. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and then to discover that prisoner was me. Now, when Smead is writing about this, he's probably talking in terms of letting someone else go is really freeing yourself from the prison, but letting that old you go is also freeing the current you from that prison. That is not who you are anymore. That is not your true essence. So embracing forgiveness for yourself. Somebody say, I radically forgive myself. Mark Twain said this, and this actually was Mark Twain. I said to you last week, if Google can't figure out who said it, they dub it to Mark Twain. Mark Twain actually said this, and I love this. This is one of my favorite forgiveness quotes. It says, forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. But what if it was the 26-year-old you that crushed your dreams? What if it was that immature, arrogant, oh my God, I can't believe you made that decision? What if that's the one that you need to shed your violent fragrance on? You mean forgive me for that decision? I'm still experiencing the residuals from it. And in some ways, maybe people do. I'm not ignoring that some of our past doesn't have residual effect. There are some people who end up handicapped from decisions or crippled from decisions. They have physical, long-lasting. Some people go to prison because of decisions. So I'm not saying that there's not some kind of a physical, lasting effect, but my question to you is this: how much of your life will be identified with that decision? And what could change about your life today if you let go through love and radical self-forgiveness? This is about shifting from blame to understanding, because here's the thing. You need to forgive until you learn to understand. And as understanding takes over, forgiveness is no longer necessary, because it'll be automatically, I get it. I get it. One of the things that I learned about understanding is that gave me the ability to work with my children. Because there's some dumb stuff sometimes. I know none of y'all, I'm not saying my kids are dumb, they're completely and wonderfully smart. There's some things they just don't understand because they have not lived the experience yet. But it gave me the ability to be more patient because I would say, I understand. I understand my kids make way better decisions than I did when I was their age. I can tell you that. Now, we intentionally tapped into their ability to be responsible very young. Instead of just thinking they were dumb and stupid and didn't know how to make their own decisions, we decided that they came here loaded and coated with wonderful stuff and let them make some decisions so they could exercise their right, their strength, and their ability to do so. Because there's some powerful stuff in our children, we just limit them. But what I'm saying is when there's some decisions that they make that sometimes parents get frustrated about, I get less and less frustrated about it the more I grow in understanding, because I understand there are some things they need to do to experience the resistance of suffering as a result of their decisions so that they can grow. And I don't want to be adding to it. I want to be available to help heal it. But that's what happens as you grow in understanding. You have less of a need to exercise forgiveness because you just understand. You understand. Somebody say, I understand. There's a few things that we do in radical self-forgiveness. One, we embrace our imperfections. You know why you do that? Because there's no measurement for perfections. We live in a constant state of competition and comparison because we believe there's some ruler out there for perfection, and there's not. So you let go of those and you embrace imperfections. Somebody say, I embrace all of my imperfections. Somebody say, I love me just the way I am. All of me. The good, bad, and indifferent. I love and embrace my function and my dysfunction. I even love all the junk in the trunk. So I'm embracing imperfections. I'm breaking the cycle of victimhood. How many know people, they are the ultimate victim. And not only are they, they're so good at it, they attract more victimization. In fact, there's those folks that they're so good at victimhood that when you're direct with them about your boundaries, they automatically think you stabbed them. This was not about your boundaries, baby. This was about mine. But if they're interested in being, or they have become a habitual victim, automatically they're victimized by the truth. So I'm letting go and I'm releasing my emotional baggage. That's a load of, so I'm letting it go. And this is truly a journey to self-acceptance. And then the second ingredient that I wanted to get to, and this is the last one. Somebody say, thank you, Jesus. Number 2 is radical self-love. Now, this is interesting. This is paradoxical. because it's letting go through embracing. This is the act or action of letting go. This is the act or action of embracing. So it sounds weird to say let go through embracing. I'm saying let go of all of the judgments and love the one who made the decision. Radical self-love is I let go of the judgments about what was done, what you decided to do, but I embrace you fully and completely. This is what it means to be in unconditional love. Unconditional love cannot be affected or infected by any condition, because if the condition could change the love, it would no longer be unconditional love. The power of radical self-love is it gives me the ability to fully and deeply appreciate and fully accept me just as I am. It gives me the ability to offer the mercy and the grace that I would offer to someone else. How many know, you know within your own self, you give more rope to your friends and family than you do to yourself? Much quicker to forgive other people than my own self. Beat yourself up like liar, liar in the bathroom. Sorry, is that a reference? Nobody? Jim Carrey was a lawyer, beat himself. Okay, anyway, I don't want to spoil it for you. Go watch it sometime. Beat yourself up for days on end, but you let other people off the hook. Isn't that interesting? See, radical self-love brings me into a space of really fully accepting me and loving my function, dysfunction, and all of me. But then somebody says, what really is love? I know. Because we've thrown the word around so much that we've kind of like dulled the edge a little. So I sat down with thinking, okay, John, when you talk about love, see, because I talk about love all of the time. All of you know this. Like, I'm the love doctor. That's me. I love love more than anything else. But to me, love and God are synonymous. It's the same thing. The source is love. God is love, and love is God. But I got to thinking, okay, what does that mean to me? And here's the deal. God is beyond explanation. God is beyond label. Love is really beyond explanation and also beyond label. Love is experienced, but I would ask you to consider for yourself, what does true love mean to you? What would it feel like? And this is rhetorical. It's for you to work with within your own self. But this is what I came up with. I was sitting and after a little bit of a meditation, and this is what I came up with. Ah, yes. But what is love? And that was the question I put on my notes. Ah, yes. But what is love? Well, ultimately, the only limitation on love is my individual definition. How I confine it defines it for me. I mean, you think about that for just a minute. That's kind of deep, but delve in. What we know as love in our human existence has been limited in so many ways. So here's what I think. The closest that I can come up with as I write this here and now. This is to me a pure definition of love for me. Love is that which creates the ultimate feeling of complete acceptance, total security, absolute safety, fulfillment, and ease of being. Love creates an environment where all of my vital parts are at ease, and I'm completely free to be vulnerable and open. See, when I think about love, God's love, there's no guard. I don't have to be guarded. And see, to me, that's what I mean when we talk about love and God being love, is that you don't have to any longer be guarded. And then Spirit asked, is that what you do for you? If that's your model, if your model is that, John, why don't you do that for you? That was deep. That was not easy to answer, except for to come back to what I believe is true. I have not apprehended this yet or perfected it yet, but I do believe that this is true. That if we will let go of the past, through radical self-forgiveness and radical self-love, we will release ourselves from the prison that has confined us, and we will all blossom and unfold fully and completely as we were intended to. Perfect love casts out fear. Every decision that you ever made in fear probably ended up bad. But perfect love casts out fear. And that changes your decision-making abilities. Somebody say, love hopes all things. Love believes all things. Love endures all things. And this is why love never fails. Repeat this after me, if you will. I choose not to look back in anger, nor in front of me with fear, but instead around me in full awareness. I let go of my past. I live in the present moment. And I create an amazing future. That power is mine. Right here, right now. And so it is. And so it is. I love you, family.